Alrighty, this is We the People News. One more time at it. Not attorney, not giving legal advice. Anything I say or do is my opinion only. Okay? Do your own research. Use the Second Amendment. Arm yourself with knowledge. Okay? Never look straight forward. Always look around you. Be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Alright? I am led to believe and do believe that no matter what court you go into, they're going under the same form of principle. Alright? They have unclean hands, they're acting in bad faith, and they are in dishonor. When you walk in that courtroom, you can literally just smell the corruption in there, okay? And how dirty the courts are. And the reason why I say this is because over and over and over, without being an attorney, pro se's actually follow rules, and courts, local and federal, are ignoring them. And they just cannot have the people to actually get justice on their own. The whole design of a bar member is everybody must bow down to them. Okay? And it may not have started off that way, but it is that way today. How dare these people think they're smarter than we are? And the reason why I say this is because I know of a few people that is pro se and went through the process calling out every single thing correctly, and it's still been ruled against when unlawfully, by the way. Okay? Alphonse Vaccarelli, can't pronounce his last name very well. He's been just underneath the Supreme Court, stuck because the Supreme Court and attorneys wouldn't let it go any higher than his property tax, because in his writings he calls out the corruption of property tax. And if the Supreme Court takes this case, they don't have a choice but to rule on Alphonse's behalf. Okay? Because he's actually going by the processes, the statute, codes, rules, and regulations of what a taxpayer is by their own definition. And since he's calling them out that it does not apply to him, the Supreme Court's got the attorneys hovering him right underneath them, because once that happens all through the United States, people that don't have business on their properties don't have to pay property tax. And once the Supreme gets a hold of that and actually has to rule on his behalf, because he actually has true and correct standing in writing, can you just imagine the chaos of every single city, town, and all that would be under. And a couple of videos back, I showed you some of the corruptions that's going on with taxpayers anyway. Okay? And we're going to go with this lady that fought her case. Now, Kirk in Seattle, that's been retaliating against, because how dare he be smarter than these attorneys, and how dare he be smarter than these judges. We can't have the little peon people be smarter than us and calling us out on our corruption. We must get them armed men out there to go attack them. Never mind. Don't get me started. Okay. This is in Canada, or I believe it's in Canada. Don't know their flags and all that. But listen to what she has to say.
It sends a really dangerous message to people that if you stand up for yourself, if you don't take a deal because you want public vindication, if you embarrass the police, if you embarrass the system, if you embarrass the government, and even if you self-represent against a team of professional lawyers and win your case, you will still lose in the end because you didn't do what everyone else does. They take a deal behind closed doors. We save all the embarrassment that could be had in a public trial. That's what they want people to do.
One of Australia's most fearless freedom fighters from the COVID era has finally had her day in court for 3 arrests during the COVID madness here in Melbourne. Now, we caught up with Monica Smith during the trial, and we also caught up with the lead witness, the commanding officer in charge of those arrests, who during the case had nothing to say. How you doing, sir? How you going? Do you want to apologise to Victorians for what Victoria Police did during COVID? There we go. So Victoria Police, absolute contempt to Victorians. The case is now over, and joining us now to share the results, Monica Smith, thank you for joining us. How'd you go in court?
I got exactly what I wanted, Avi, which was public vindication. I couldn't get an apology, of course, but winning your case is basically the same thing as an apology, even though it's forced. So I proved to the court that 2 out of the 3 arrests were unlawful. So I guess you could say I won 66.6667% of the case. And if your viewers don't already know, I self-represented against a whole team of lawyers, 2 barristers and 2 solicitors, and a whole firm back at the office supporting them, and it was just little old me there on my own, and I won. So it's quite an exciting verdict, I would say.
But it's not all good news, because I've been following closely what's happened, and yes, you've been vindicated, but after that vindication was had, what were you hit with?
So it has costed me, well, it could cost me up to and over $250,000 for the pleasure of winning my case. It does sound crazy, but let me explain. It won't take long. Basically, I got offered $15,000 before the trial to avoid going to trial. My counter offer was, I don't care about the money. I want a public apology, like Avi from Rebel News got, for example. And they refused to give me any sort of accountability, public apology, or even they didn't even offer me a private apology, by the way. And because it wasn't about the money for me, I had to go to trial to get that public vindication, which I got. However, the judge...
We're going to pause there for a second. Does that sound familiar with people trying to ask questions and all that? I mean, some of y'all, I'm assuming, knows Jane Freeman and cop watchers and this, that, here. Does that not sound familiar, y'all?
He awarded me $4,000 in damages for 2 unlawful arrests. Basically, it seemed like it was because I gathered myself together so well, and I'm not a mental wreck, that I should not get as much damages. But anyway, because I was offered $15,000 to not go to trial, and the judge awarded me only $4,000, according to the court system, I basically lost in their eyes because I could have achieved a better outcome and avoided trial. However, my argument was then, and is still now, that I wanted the public vindication. I could not get that in mediation. I tried to get it, and that's why I went to trial, and I've gotten what I wanted. So I think the outcome is more favourable than mediation, but the court system doesn't agree. So yes, I've been ordered to pay $250,000 to the losing team for the pleasure of, well, I wouldn't say the pleasure, I would also say for the audacity to reject their offer.
Now, can I just clarify, is the reason the cost order, so they offered you in mediation to settle on $15,000, you didn't accept it, did you not accept it because the other terms of the settlement were unacceptable to you? Is that right?
It came with no accountability.
So they weren't going to apologise like they did to me or anything like that?
That's right. And they maintained that they lawfully arrested me 3 times, that they did nothing wrong. They did say that I could talk about the deal, I could talk about the $15,000 being given to me, etc. But that's not a talking point for me at all. I wanted the public vindication, and that's why I said no.
You wanted people to know that what they did was in fact unlawful, which we now do know that at least 2 of them were.
Exactly. So they were wrong on that count. And I got to be honest, the $15,000, the money itself didn't really play a role for me. However, I will say that $15,000 for 3 unlawful arrests and 45 minutes in the back of a police van for no reason, I thought that was a pretty insulting number. It wouldn't have made a difference if it was higher, but I think it was reasonable for me to say no to that amount. And just for the record, even if all 3 arrests were deemed unlawful, the judge said out loud that she would have only awarded $5,000 in damages for the other arrest, which means it would have only been $9,000 in damages for 3 arrests and 45 minutes in a divvy van, handcuffed for over an hour and 40 minutes. She would have only awarded me $9,000, which is still $6,000 less than my offer. So your audience needs to remember, even if I won all 3 arrests, 100% of the case, I would still have a cost order of $250,000. And this is absolutely atrocious.
You can win a case in Victoria against the state, and even if you fully win it and represent yourself doing it, you can walk away with a bill of almost over $200,000. What message do you think that sends to the public?
It sends a really dangerous message to people that if you stand up for yourself, if you don't take a deal because you want public vindication, if you embarrass the police, if you embarrass the system, if you embarrass the government, and even if you self-represent against a team of professional lawyers and win your case, you will still lose in the end because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You didn't do what everyone else does. They take a deal behind closed doors. We save all the embarrassment that could be had in a public trial. That's what they want people to do. So that is why I will definitely have to appeal this, because I don't want people to be afraid to pursue justice. And even worse, if they pursue justice and win, that they're going to end up losing in the end anyway. I actually finished this trial, Avi, feeling like I got a fair trial. I thought the judge was very fair and patient, and she was during the trial. And I wanted to leave this experience saying, there is still hope in the judicial system, and isn't this great? We got a fair hearing and all of this stuff. But then to be slapped with a $250,000 bill for the pleasure of winning has made me question the whole system. She did have the discretion to not award any cost to the other side, regardless of me rejecting the offer and so forth. And she chose to slap me so hard right near the end after awarding me 2 of the unlawful arrests. And it's a crazy thing. And what has actually happened is it's highlighted this. I don't think people knew that this could happen. I didn't really know that this could happen either.
Do you regret it? Do you wish you took that deal now?
Oh, hell no. No way. Oh, I'm so glad I didn't, because like I said, it highlights that this sort of situation can happen. I have said many times.
And I'm going to pause right there. And I am so glad, because it does call out the judicial branch all through the world, y'all. United States and all that. Now, when you win a case, it's supposed to be automatically the other side. You must give them money for their loss of going through the courts. I still don't believe in that part. If you made a claim against me and come find out, but that being neither here or there, she won. So if anything, they must pay her $250,000. So our court system right now is a little bit better in that aspect, but they have a tendency to have pro ses keep losing their case. And when you lose your case by their corruption, who flicks the bill? You do, right? Now you got to pay for their attorneys and this and that here and there, all due to the judge unlawfully said you lost and say you have no standing when the prosecutor never had subject matter jurisdiction or in persona jurisdiction in the first darn place. Okay? So, well, why don't you just get attorney, right? It's kind of like another form of cop watchers watching the cops make sure they behave. When pro ses go in there, they're calling out the corruptions between attorneys and judges, elites. Okay, you must bow down to the mighty King Black Robe. Okay, and if your attorney goes against the courts, then the courts will retaliate, or judge retaliate against the attorney and make him lose his next case. So the attorneys sometimes are in a lot of bad spots, which there has been videos attorneys calling out the black robes. And what did they do? Retaliated. Okay, especially the one in Georgia with the famous guy through all that, right?
That I'm willing to lose everything to stand up for my rights, because it's not just my rights. There were hundreds and thousands of people arrested unlawfully during pro-freedom rallies. They all deserve justice. And if I can set a strong case law, a strong precedent, then we could have hundreds of people just like me going through the court system for unlawful arrest based on my case law. And what I would say to you out there, don't be afraid of the cost order that I got. That only happened to me because I refused to take a deal, because I have a public profile and I wanted to make a public point. If you don't have a profile, then you can just take the deal. Don't be afraid to take the deal. No one's going to judge you. We all have different lives and different things that we're supposed to do for the movement. This is what I'm supposed to do, and I have so many more cases coming up, and that's basically my job now. So let me do it. And can I just put on the record quickly that I do understand why the Calder Bank offers exist. If every single person went to court, then the court systems would be completely chock-a-block. I understand that. But my argument against that is that because I have a public profile and because I was doing it for public vindication, and also for the rest of the people who got arrested and things like that, the Calder Bank offer shouldn't apply to me because of the nature of the case.
If you think it's important for the world to know what's happened to one of our bravest freedom fighters here in Australia, make sure to like, comment, but most importantly, share it far and wide. Because Monica's story is of public interest. Remember, she was arrested unlawfully at least twice now for daring to stand up to the state. And now, when she fought to clear her name, which she did, well, she's slapped with another punishment again.
And different.
Yes. How dare we, the people, be pro se's in our own case when the bars and the judges are the elites? And when you, how dare you challenge jurisdiction that they never have? How dare you, little peons? And now, you know, I'm not even going to go too much deeper than that. This is already 18 minutes. But this is happening in the United States as well. I don't know about the back doors of $250,000 other people may be fined or anything like that. But usually, when you win, the other party must pay. And since she won, how does she have to pay the other party? These are We the People News. Bye, y'all.